simple. We're just going to need some more green yarn, I'm afraid, and a little bit of brown as well. And you really want to get those yarn scraps that you've been cutting off all those tail ends. We're going to be using those as well. Okay, so the first thing to do is we are going to get our green yarn, and using the same hook size we've been using for everything else, we are going to work, we're going to chain 4. Chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So chain 4, and then find your first chain, bring the yarn through, and do a slip stitch, bring it straight through the loop on your hook to join your little 4 chains at the beginning and the end. And in the middle of that little loop of chains is a hole, if you can see there. Don't confuse it with your chain 1, which can look quite big, the hole. You want to find that center hole, and in there we are going to work 6 single crochet. So I'm going to put a hook in there, bring the yarn through, and do a single crochet. We need 6 of these, so we're just wrapping them around the chains. Doesn't matter how many chains you got now. 1, 2, 3, 4, going into that centre each time, bringing the yarn through, 5, into that centre, bring the yarn through, do a single crochet, 6. So when you've got your 6 single crochet, I'm just going to pull that tail end, bring in the hole, and then you want to slip stitch into your first single crochet. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Find that first single crochet, bring the yarn through that first single crochet and straight through the loop on your hook to do a slip stitch. So by the end of the first round you should have 6 single crochet. Then what we're going to do is we are going to chain 1, but we're not going to count that as a stitch. We're going to completely ignore that as a stitch. And what we want to do is put our hook back into that first single crochet we just slip stitched into. So that one you just slip stitched into, you want to go back in there, and you want to do 2 single crochet. So we do 1 single crochet, then we go back into the same stitch again and do another one. So you've got 2 single crochet in there. Okay, 2 single crochet. Then we're going to do 2 single crochet in each stitch around, so we're doubling up, so we end up with a stitch count of 12. So we go into the next stitch and do 2 single crochet, 1 and another one in the same stitch, and 2 single crochet each stitch around, so 2 in the next one, 5 and 6, 2 in the next one, 7 and 8, 2 single crochet in the next stitch, 9 and 10, and 2 in the next stitch, 11 and 12. So you should have 12 single crochet by the end of that round, and it always looks like there's 1 stitch left. That's what I call a fake stitch. You may have heard me say that before. Just above there is your teeny tiny chain 1. We're going to ignore that, so skip the fake stitch, skip the chain 1, find your first single crochet and do a slip stitch. Put your hook in that first single crochet, should be a lot easier to see, and do a slip stitch. Okay, just join the round. So you should have a stitch count of 12 now. Now we're going to do one more increase round. We're going to chain 1. Again, just ignore that, don't count it as a stitch. Put your hook back into that single crochet we just slip stitched into and do 1 single crochet this time, just the 1. Just 1. Then in the next stitch we're going to do 2 single crochet. Next stitch do 2. 1 and another 1 the same stitch, and then we go back to just doing 1 single crochet. So in the next stitch just do 1 single crochet, then the next stitch do 2 single crochet, 1 and on the same stitch 2. We're going to repeat that round doing 1 single crochet in the next stitch, then 2 single crochet, then 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, back to the beginning. You should end on 2 single crochet and you should have a stitch count of 18. Okay, so 1 single crochet in the next stitch, then 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. It's coming up to the last 2 stitches, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and then the last stitch 2 single crochet, 1 and another one in the same stitch. And there is our little fake stitch which is there to trick us. We're going to ignore that. Above there is a tiny chain 1, we're going to ignore that as well. Find your first proper stitch, your first single crochet, put your hook in there and do a slip stitch. Bring it through the single crochet and straight through the loop on your hook. Okay, so by the end of that round you should have a stitch count of 18. Should look just like a little circle. Then we're going to do 3 rounds of just 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So we begin by chaining 1 again, ignore that as a stitch, put your hook back into the same stitch we slip stitched into, that's where we're going to begin, and do your 1 single crochet. Then we're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and we're going to keep a stitch count of 18. And you want to do that for 3 rounds. Okay, so you chain 1, do 1, don't count that as a stitch, 1 single crochet in the same stitch that you slip stitched into to begin, don't forget to do that, then 1 single crochet in each stitch around, then skip the chain 1 and slip stitch into that first single crochet you did. Okay, you want to do that for 3 rounds. So I shall do that and then I shall come back. Okay, just go up to the last couple of stitches on the 3rd round. Always remember at the end of your rounds, don't crochet into that fake stitch, skip the fake stitch, skip the chain 1, find your first single crochet that you did, which should have gone into the one you slip stitched into, and do a slip stitch like so. So it should look a little something like that. We can just pop that tail end on the inside. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do some decreases. So we're going to chain 1 again, don't count that as a stitch. We're going to do 1 single crochet in the same stitch we just slip stitched into, so you should be doing that all the time. Do a single crochet in there, same stitch you just slip stitched into. Then we're going to single crochet 2 stitches together, so we're going to reduce 2 down to 1. To do that we go into the next stitch, bring the yarn through, but stop, and go into the next stitch, bring the yarn through, yarn over, pull for all 3. That reduces 2 stitches to 1, single crochets 2 together. Then we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next stitch, just the 1. Then we single crochet 2 together again. So you go into the next stitch, pull through, stop. To the next stitch, pull through, 3 loops, yarn over, pull for all 3. Single crochet 2 together. So just repeat that round, doing 1 single crochet, then single crochet 2 together. 1 single crochet, single crochet 2 together. Back to the beginning, you should end on single crocheting 2 together, and you should reduce your stitch count back down to 12. Okay, so 1 single crochet, then single crochet 2 together. Just going up to the last 3 stitches, single crochet in the next stitch, single crochet the last 2 together. And then we skip our fake stitch, skip our tiny chain 1, find that first single crochet and slip stitch into there. Okay, so your stitch count should have gone down to 12. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do one more decrease round. To begin, it starts to get a little bit fiddly, but chain 1, and starting in the same stitch you slip stitched into, we're going to single crochet 2 together. So put your hook into that first single crochet, the one you just slip stitched into, bring the yarn through, and then go into the next stitch, bring the yarn through, yarn over, pull for all 3. We're going to single crochet 2 stitches together until the end, so we reduce our stitch count back down to 6. So go into the next stitch, pull through, stop, next stitch, pull through, yarn over, pull for all 3. It might find it easier to flatten your work as you go. Next stitch, pull through, stop, next stitch, pull through, yarn over, pull for all 3, then single crochet the next 2 together, and then single crochet the next 2 together, and the last 2. So, and then what you want to do is you want to skip the little fake stitch and find that very first single crochet, which is from your first single crocheting 2 together, and put your hook in there. There we go. But instead of yarning over with the green, we're going to yarn over with the brown instead. So get your brown yarn and just put that over your hook, hold it with your finger and bring that through that first single crochet and straight through the loop on your hook as well. Just pull your yarn, and what we're going to do, you should have a stitch count of 6, a very tight, fiddly 6, shouldn't be tight. And then what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1, and we want to do 1 single crochet in the same single crochet we just slip stitched into, just above that first single crochet 2 together. So you just want to put your hook back into there and do a single crochet, and you want to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around. Okay, so into the next stitch, you should have a stitch count of 6, so just count to 6. 1 single crochet in the next stitch, 2 single crochet in the next stitch, 3 next stitch, 4 next stitch, 5, and the last stitch, 6. And then what we want to do is skip that little fake stitch there, that tiny chain 1, find your first single crochet that you did in the brown, put your hook in there and do a slip stitch. Okay, and we're just going to pull up the yarn a second, and we are going to take our 2 tail, we're going to cut the green, so finish with the green, get the green out of the way, take the 2 tail ends and we're going to tie them together just to secure it into place. Okay, pull nice and tight, and then what we're going to do is taking a pair of scissors and some yarn scraps. You may have a few yarn scraps that you've collected so far from the projects. We are going to stuff the end of our tree. So I'm just going to use the scissors to first of all push these 2 tail ends in. And then once they've gone in, eventually, there we go. I'm going to get the rest of our tail ends and stuff the end of our tree. So I'm just going to do that and then I shall come back. Okay, so when you've finished stuffing your top of your tree, so it doesn't have to be too firm, we are just going to do 3 more rounds of what we've just done. So we're going to chain one, and do 1 single crochet in the same stitch you just slip stitched into. So find that one you slip stitched into and do a single crochet. I'm going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around, so we've still got a stitch count of 6. And then we're going to slip stitch into that first single crochet. So you're going to skip the chain one and single crochet into that first single crochet. We're going to do that for 3 rounds. Okay, 3 rounds, keeping a stitch count of 6. Okay, 3 rounds. 6. So we skip the fake stitch, the tiny chain one, find that first single crochet, and do a slip stitch. Okay, there's our first round. Do 2 more. Chain 1, 1 single crochet in the same stitch we just slip stitched into, and 1 single crochet in each stitch around, keeping a stitch count of 6. Okay, it's just coming up to the last stitch on the last round. So you should have done 3 more rounds of chain 1, 1 single crochet in the same stitch you slip stitched into, and 1 single crochet in each stitch around. Skip the fake stitch, the chain 1, find that first single crochet, slip stitch into there. Do that for 3 rounds, and then we're finished. We're going to fasten off. Leave a little bit of a tail for sewing. Just pull that through, and then we can either sew them onto wherever you like, and you can make as many of these trees as you like. You can just make just one. You don't have to make one for each square. You don't have to do that. You can just make the one. You don't have to make any at all, or you can make lots and lots and have like a whole forest if you wanted to around your pond, or even add them to the grass if you wanted to. It's entirely up to you. But what I'm going to do is I think I will sew this, I think I might just sew this next to the other one, so I've got 2 on there or something. And to do that, when you sew them on, is get a yarn needle, and the first thing I'm going to do is just sew through it like that to finish the stitch. Neaten it off, and you don't bother stuffing, you don't need to stuff the trunk. I'm going to put this tree next to this tree, it doesn't really matter where. Just sew through the grass. You don't want it to be right on the edge because you want to be able to see your edges when you sew these together, if you plan to sew the squares together at the end. There is a Facebook group that I've started specifically for HappyBerry Crochet-a-longs if you want to join, and it's been suggested in there that might be a nice idea not to sew them together at the end and actually keep them as individual squares, and then little ones can make up the road and the landscape to how they want to do it. So it's entirely up to you. But what we're going to do, so we've sewn to the back, just trying to work out where the edge is. There we go, and then we're going to come back up through there and out through the next stitch on the little trunk. Put it nice and tight, and then I'm going to go over to the next stitch on there and out through the grass, the back. Then I'm going to come up again from the bottom and out for the next stitch on the trunk, and over to the next stitch and down, and so on and so forth until our little tree is sewn on. Yeah, I'll put a link in the description to the Crochet-a-long Facebook group if you want to come share your progress and your pictures and chat with everybody else. There's a really nice community developing on there. Hello to everyone who's already in there. It's been really good fun seeing your project so far and chatting with you guys. It's been really nice. I don't feel like I get to do that enough. Through the bottom, and we're almost finished. Back down, and I think we're pretty much there. And then just to secure it on the bottom, I'm just going to do a couple of stitches just to secure into place. There we go, and then I'm going to trim the excess down, and there we go. I've got another little tree next to our pond or lake. And there we go, and they can go together with our grass. However, we're going to make this up at the end. It's going to be a surprise. I do have a plan and I have a plan for all the squares for the project and some additional little bits and bobs as well, so it's going to be really good fun, and I hope you'll join me on this crochet along. And yeah, I think that's about it. But you want to make 4 of these. You will need 4 pond pieces. You don't need to make 4 trees. You can make as many or as little as you like, but you will need 4 of these pond pieces. I'm just going to double check that on my little... Yes, you will need 4 to make 2 figure-of-8 ponds. Okay, and I think that's about it. So I will see you next week for the next episode, for episode 3, where I will show you another square and some bits and bobs, and we'll see what that brings. So I hope you managed to follow along. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you're enjoying the crochet along. And I will either see you in the Facebook group or I shall chat to you here. See you guys, bye. Oh, one last thing as well, which I almost forgot to say. If you want to add a little bit of extra fun for your to your little pond lake, then maybe you would like to add a little brown ducker as well. And for this tutorial, this is actually an old tutorial, video tutorial, and I think there's a written pattern somewhere. I'll put some links in the description, of course, to the tutorials. And it's actually for a little chick, but it also makes a perfect little duck as well for the pond if you make him in the brown and a little bit of yellow and some grey for the eyes. But I'll put links to his little tutorial over this video or in the description, so if you want to check that out. Okay, that's it from me. I will see you next week. Bye guys.